Now, most people think burnout recovery just takes time, maybe a few days off, a vacation, a reset. But here's the truth. Recovery isn't measured in days, it's measured in systems. And the difference between 6 weeks and 6 months often comes down to one thing: how you operate during recovery, not after it. In this video, I'll show you three things. The first is why burnout recovery takes so much longer than most people expect, and the key factors that quietly stretch that timeline out. Second, how to identify what's actually slowing your recovery down so you can start fixing it instead of just waiting it out. And third, I'll walk you through the Operator's Edge Reboot Framework, a step-by-step system designed to shorten recovery time without skipping the steps that matter. Now think of burnout recovery like rewiring a short-circuited system. When a circuit overheats, you don't fix it by flipping the switch back on. You disconnect power, cool it down, and replace the burned out components, and only then bring it back online. That's a real reason burnout recovery takes time. You're not just resting, you're rebuilding the system that keeps you running. And once you understand what each part of the system needs, your power source, your load, your safeguards, you can then accelerate the recovery without blowing another fuse. Now here's what most people miss. Burnout isn't just exhaustion, it's a system failure. You've been running over capacity for so long that the internal wiring, mental, emotional, physical, starts to degrade. So recovery time depends on how deep the damage goes and whether the system is still under stress. If burnout is mild, just early signs like fatigue or cynicism, you can bounce back in a few weeks with real rest and better boundaries. If it's moderate, where motivation, focus are already shot, it usually takes a few months of consistent recovery work to restore balance. But if it's severe, like total depletion, mental fog, maybe even physical symptoms, it can take 6 months to a year to rebuild. And that is because at that stage, you're not just recovering energy, you're reprogramming how you operate. Now, trying to rush that process doesn't help. It's like trying to cool down a circuit while it's still plugged in. You might get temporary relief, but the next surge will fry everything again. So if your recovery feels slow, it doesn't mean you're weak, it means your system is still in repair mode. That's actually a good thing. It means the rebuild is happening. Now, before you can speed up recovery, you have to understand what's holding it back, because if the system is still under load, no amount of rest will fix it. Now let's break down what's quietly slowing your recovery and how to release that pressure. Now, if recovery feels slow, it's not because you're tired. It's because the system is still under load. Now, burnout doesn't heal in isolation. It heals when pressure is reduced and the system gets clean inputs again. So before you can accelerate recovery, you need to diagnose what's still creating drag. Let's look at the most common factors that keep people stuck in burnout longer than they should be. The first one is an environmental problem. Now, trying to recover in the same environment that caused your burnout is like trying to cool down a circuit that's still connected in the power source. Now, if your workplace, schedule, or pace hasn't changed, your nervous system never gets the downtime it needs. You can't rebuild in the middle of the storm. Sometimes that means taking a proper break. Other times it means redesigning your work setup. Smaller projects, fewer hours, or even changing teams. Whatever it takes to remove the constant current. The second issue is lack of support systems. Now, recovery speeds up when the load is shared, but many operators try to go it alone, thinking independence equals strength. The truth is, every resilient system has redundancy built in. That could be emotional support, community, even professional help. These are your backup generators. Without them, every setback feels heavier, every repair takes longer. The third one is missing resilience tools. If you haven't built coping mechanisms that help your system discharge stress, the smallest surge can cause another shutdown. That's why mindfulness, breath work, and structured reflection matter. They're not fluff, they're your safety valves. Without them, you're just running harder each day until something gives. And finally, the fourth one is unresolved root causes. Now, many people try to recover without fixing what caused the burnout in the first place. Take time off, feel a little bit better, then plug back into the same overload, overcommitment, perfectionism, poor boundaries. Now, that's like replacing a fuse without fixing the short. The moment you power back up, it happens again. So if your recovery timeline feels endless, ask yourself this: which of these four systems is still compromised? Now, once you've cooled the system, identified where the overloads are happening, it's time to rebuild intentionally. This is where the Operator's Edge reboot framework comes in. It's not a recovery checklist, it's a full reset for how you operate, built to get your system back online stronger than before. Let's break it down. Now, once you've cooled the system and identified where the overloads are happening, it's time to rebuild intentionally. Now, this is where the Operator's Edge reboot framework comes in. It's not just a recovery checklist. It's a full reset for how you operate, built to get your system back online stronger than before. So the R in reboot is all about recognizing the burnout. Now, you can't repair a system you refuse to shut down. The first step is honesty, acknowledging that you're burnt out. Now, high performers hate this part because it feels like weakness, but it's actually the first sign of intelligence. Denial delays recovery. When you name it, you stop fighting reality, and that's when energy starts to come back online. Think of it like powering down the system before you fry the board. Recognition is your hard reset. And the E in reboot is all about establishing support lines. Now, no system runs in isolation, and neither should you. Support is your stabilizer. It's what keeps the load from collapsing your circuits again. That could mean therapy, coaching, or leaning on a few trusted people who actually get it. You don't need everyone, you just need a few strong connections. The data's clear. People who build real support recover faster and relapse less. So reach out, communicate what's happening. The moment you stop carrying all of it alone, the repair accelerates. Which brings us to the B, which is all about building energy inputs. Now, recovery isn't rest, it's strategic recharging. Think of this as refueling your system with cleaner power sources. Start with the basics: quality sleep, proper nutrition, consistent movement. Then layer in the emotional and creative side: time in nature, hobbies that make you forget about work, conversations that don't involve your to-do list. Now, each input fills a different circuit. It could be physical, emotional, mental, social. Now, you're not being indulgent. You're restoring the very capacity that got drained. And the first all is all about optimizing boundaries. Now, if your system overheated once, it means the safeguards failed. This step is about recalibrating how much current you allow through your day. Look at your schedule, your workload, your relationships. Where are you saying yes out of guilt or habit? Every system needs circuit breakers. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're what keeps your power supply stable. That might mean setting new work hours, protecting weekends, or scheduling no meeting blocks. Now, do this consistently and unapologetically, because prevention is faster than repair. And the second O in reboot is about overriding code. Now, this is a deeper programming step. Burnout often isn't caused by workload alone. It's driven by beliefs running your internal software. Maybe it's perfectionism. Maybe it's equating rest with laziness. Maybe it's a story that your worth is tied to output. Whatever the code is, this is where you rewrite it. Upgrade your definition of success. Make balance a non-negotiable part of achievement. When you change the code, the system stops running the same self-destructive loops. Finally, the T is all about test and fine-tune continuously. Recovery isn't a one-time reboot. It's an ongoing maintenance cycle. Just like any system, you need to monitor your energy levels, boundary leaks, and workload balance. Now, check your indicators regularly. How's your focus, sleep, creativity, mood? Now, when you notice a dip, tune it early. Every operator knows if you wait until smoke comes out the panel, it's too late. Testing and fine-tuning keeps your system clean, sharp, and ready for load. Now, each stage we looked at builds on the one before it. Skip one and you're patching instead of rebuilding. Now, follow them in sequence and you not only accelerate recovery, you will harden your system against future burnout. Because real recovery isn't about doing less, it's about operating better. So once you've rebooted your system and learned to operate from stability instead of survival, what comes next? That's where the final phase kicks in, turning your recovery into a sustainable way of life. Now, recovery isn't about getting back to normal, it's about coming back stronger. Every step you've taken, recognize, established, build, optimize, override, test isn't a temporary fix, it's an upgrade. Now here's the thing, recovery isn't linear. You have days where you feel back to full power and others where you dip again. That doesn't mean you're failing, it just means your system is recalibrating. Now each reset builds resilience, each small repair compounds. Now when you recover this way, you don't just protect your energy, you change how you operate. You start making decisions from stability and not survival. You build momentum without burning your wiring again. And that's the operator's edge. It's not about doing less, it's about running cleaner. Now, if you want to understand what really triggers burnout in the first place so you can spot the signs before you ever hit that point, watch my next video, Entrepreneurial Burnout, what really causes it. Click right here to go watch it next.